I'm not an accountant. I'm a retired high school chemistry teacher. But it turns out, you don't need a CPA license to notice that the same HOA management company has been billing 214 homeowners a common area maintenance surcharge every single month for a parking lot that the county repaved and paid for entirely 3 years ago. I've lived in Maple Crest Commons since 2009. It's a condo complex with 214 units, 3 buildings, shared parking, shared landscaping, the whole arrangement. For the most part, it ran fine. We had a professional management company, Pinnacle Property Solutions, handling the finances, maintenance contracts, and monthly billing. The HOA board mostly rubber-stamped whatever Pinnacle recommended, which I understand. Volunteers running a 214-unit complex after their day jobs don't exactly have time to audit every line item. My monthly HOA dues were $312. That covered insurance, landscaping, exterior maintenance, reserves, and the management fee. I paid it every month without drama. I'd been on the board briefly in 2017 and knew how the sausage was made. Mostly boring, mostly fine. Then in January of last year, my neighbor Elaine knocked on my door. Elaine is 72, sharp as a tack, and had started going through her bank statements out of boredom after her hip surgery. She pulled out a printed spreadsheet, hand-labeled with a highlighter, showing every HOA charge she'd paid over the previous 36 months. There's a line item here, she said, pointing to a column labeled CAMS, Common Area Maintenance Surcharge. It showed up starting January 3 years ago, $47 a month. I don't know what it's for, do you? I didn't. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized I should. I pulled my own statements. Sure enough, CAMS, $40 a month, starting February 3 years ago. No announcement, no notice, no vote, just a new line on the bill. I emailed Pinnacle's account manager, a woman named Donna, and asked for documentation on what the CAMS fee covered. The reply came 4 days later. The CAMS surcharge covers ongoing maintenance and improvements to common parking infrastructure and related shared amenities. That was it. No itemization, contract, no vote record from the HOA board. I submitted a formal written request by certified mail for the original board, resolution authorizing the fee, the contract or invoice that triggered it, and an accounting of where the collected funds had gone. Per our HOA's CC&Rs and Florida Statute 720-303, the management company is required to provide financial records within 10 business days. 14 business days later, I got a response. It was a 2-page document that was mostly boilerplate, with one relevant sentence. The surcharge had been implemented to offset the cost of the 2021 parking lot resurfacing project. Here's the problem. I knew about that project. In 2021, I was still on the board email list. The county, Hillsborough County specifically, had resurfaced our parking lot as part of a neighborhood improvement grant program. I had the email. I had the county grant announcement. I had the signed acknowledgement from Pinnacle's own predecessors saying the county would cover 100% of the cost. The resurfacing project cost us exactly $0. Pinnacle had implemented a $47 a month surcharge on 214 units, citing a project that the county paid for entirely and had been collecting it for 36 months. 214 units times $47, 36 months. That came to $362,952. I called Donna. I told her what I'd found. I stayed calm. I read her the numbers. Her response was, "Mr. Patterson, you're welcome to bring concerns to the annual meeting. That's the appropriate channel." The annual meeting was 9 months away. I gave them one clean chance. I drafted a formal letter, not threatening, not emotional, just specific. I cited the Florida statutes, the county grant documentation, and requested either a full accounting of where the $302,952 had gone or an immediate suspension of the fee pending board review. I sent it certified mail to Pinnacle's corporate office, with a copy to each of the 5 HOA board members. The board's response came from the board president, a man named Gerald, who had been in that position for 11 years and treated the role like a third identity. His email read in full, "Tom, I've reviewed this with Pinnacle and they've assured me the fee is legitimate. If you have concerns, I'd encourage you to run for the board next year. That's how change happens." He didn't address a single number. He didn't ask Pinnacle for documentation. He didn't call the county. He just forwarded my concern to the people I was complaining about and took their word for it. I called 3 neighbors, then 6. Within a week, I had talked to 41 homeowners, and every single one of them had the same CAMS line item. Some had paid it longer than others, depending on when they moved in. None of them had ever been told what it was for. None of them had ever voted on it. A retired paralegal in Building B named Carol put it plainly. Tom, what they've done has a name. It might not be criminal, but it's absolutely a breach of fiduciary duty. And if the board approved it without a homeowner vote, it might also be unauthorized under your own CC&Rs. She was right. I reread our CC&Rs that night. Any new fee exceeding $25 a month per unit required a majority homeowner vote. No such vote had ever been held. That was the moment I knew exactly what I had to do. I didn't want drama. I wanted documentation and accountability. So I built both. First, I got the county records. I filed a public records request with Hillsborough County for all documentation related to the 2021 Maple Crest Commons, parking lot resurfacing, the grant application, the award letter, the contractor payment records, and any correspondence with the HOA or its management company. Florida's Public Records Law, Chapter 119, required the county to respond within a reasonable time, and they did. 11 business days later, I had a 47-page file confirming that the county paid $94,200 directly to the paving contractor, that Maple Crest Commons contributed $0, and that Pinnacle Property Solutions had signed the acknowledgement form on the HOA's behalf. Pinnacle had signed a document saying the HOA owed nothing, and then billed the homeowners $300 to $2,952 as anyway. I shared the documents with Carol and 2 other neighbors who'd been helping me. We made 12 copies. Then we called a special homeowner meeting. Under Florida Statute 720.306, homeowners can petition for a special meeting with signatures from at least 10% of the membership. Maple Crest had 214 units, so we needed 22 signatures. We got 89 in 4 days. Gerald tried to delay. His email said the board needed to consult with legal counsel before scheduling any meeting. I responded in writing, by certified mail, citing the statute and noting that the board had 7 days to notice the meeting or we would notice it ourselves. He scheduled it on day 6. The meeting was held on a Tuesday evening in the clubhouse. Gerald sat at the front table with Donna from Pinnacle. 86 homeowners showed up. The room was quiet in the specific way that rooms get quiet when everyone already knows what's about to happen. I presented the county records. I presented the grant acknowledgement with Pinnacle's signature. I presented the CC&Rs provision requiring a homeowner vote. I presented the 36-month billing records. Donna said the surcharge was a discretionary reserve contribution and that the county documentation didn't apply. I asked her to point to the line in our CC&Rs that authorized discretionary reserve contributions above $25 a month without a homeowner vote. She couldn't. Gerald said he'd trusted Pinnacle's representation and hadn't independently verified the county grant situation. He looked genuinely uncomfortable, which I almost felt sorry about. Almost. Then we filed the complaint and demanded the money back. The next morning, I filed a complaint with the Florida Division of Condominiums, Timeshares, and Mobile Homes, the state agency that regulates HOA management companies. I included the full county records, the billing history, the CC&Rs, and the board meeting minutes. Carol simultaneously filed a complaint with the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation, which oversees property management licensing, alleging breach of fiduciary duty. We also sent a formal demand letter to Pinnacle, with copies to their liability insurance carrier. I had gotten the carrier's name and address from the HOA's own insurance records, which are public to homeowners under Florida law. We demanded full restitution of the $362,952 plus applicable interest. Pinnacle hired a lawyer. The lawyer sent a letter saying the fee was arguably within management discretion and suggested we were misreading the CC&Rs. I sent back a 1-sentence reply. We look forward to having the Division of Condominiums resolve this question. The state investigator contacted me 3 weeks after I filed the complaint. She had reviewed the documents and scheduled an in-person audit of Pinnacle's financial records for Maple Crest Commons. The audit took 6 weeks. The division found that Pinnacle had implemented the CAMS fee without proper homeowner authorization, had not properly documented the fee's purpose, and had, in the auditor's words, misrepresented the underlying cost basis to the association's board. The settlement was negotiated over 2 weeks. Pinnacle agreed to full restitution of $369.52 to the 214 homeowner accounts, calculated individually based on each owner's billing history. They also agreed to a $15,000 fine paid to the state and termination of their management contract with Maple Crest Commons, effective 60 days from signing. Gerald resigned from the board the same week the settlement was announced. He said he wanted to spend more time with family, which may well be true. My check arrived in the form of an HOA account credit in $692. That represented my 36 months of $47 plus interest. Elaine's check was slightly larger. She'd moved in 2 months before the fee started and had paid every month without question. She called me when her credit hit. "You know what I'm going to do with this?" she said. "What?" "Absolutely nothing. I'm going to let it sit there as a credit and pay less dues for the next 3 years, just to see the line item every month." That sounded about right to me. The new management company came in, did a full audit, and found no other irregularities. Our monthly dues actually dropped by $23 once the unauthorized fee was removed. Some people assume that when a large company does something like this to a quiet residential community, there's nothing to be done, that the paperwork is too complex, the lawyers too expensive, the board too entrenched. They're counting on that assumption. What they're not counting on is a retired chemistry teacher with a full file cabinet, a certified mail habit, and absolutely nothing on his calendar for the next 6 months. If you've ever had an HOA fee you couldn't get a straight answer about, drop a comment below. You might be surprised what a public records request turns up.